right, everybody, we're live from the Thomas and Mack as UNLV is going to take on Utah State. You know how these remotes go with the sound. Either it's going to be really good or not. So just listen to the monologues. You're not going to be able to hear the callers well. We're in a loud arena, and it's not going to be perfect. And that's what happens when you do remotes, which I don't do many of, but I love doing this one because I get a chance to go to the game. We're in the concourse, and we got a big show lined up. Max Crosby is back. Obviously, Tyler Linderbaum and the free agents that were introduced today, we're going to be all over it. Put anything you want in the chat, and thanks for dealing with us. Out of the gate, JT, as we begin. JT live from the Thomas and Mack as we're rolling today. Good to have you. I'm inside the concourse at the Modelo Bar. Wow, Michael Mack knows where to put me. Puts me right here at the Modelo Bar. Modelo. Thanks to Las Vegas Events and having me out here. I'm out here every year. I don't know, it's 10, 12, how many years in a row that we come out here for a game. And we got a big game today as we open this up because UNLV is playing Utah State. Utah State is the #1 team in the Mountain West, and UNLV's beat them twice this year. So they're 2-0 against them, which is a big deal. So we're really excited about this, that we can see a three-peat. And if UNLV wins this game, and they open it up and they win this game, this is a monster upset. UNLV is an 8-point underdog, but they're playing on their home court. The problem is it's a noon game. If this was at 8 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night, I think you'd have more fans here. But this is what it's about. This is what we do. It's a college atmosphere, and putting us in a college atmosphere is good for the show. So we'll keep an eye on this game, and it's on CBS Sports. CBS, I don't know, cable sports, whatever you want to talk, CBS Sports Network, whatever they're doing. But we're happy to be here today. The crowd is going to be nice. And this is an important moment for Josh Pastner, who's the head coach of this team. This is his first year at UNLV. He's a highly energetic guy. He won the first game, the play-in game against Wyoming. And I like his energy. He got a little bit of criticism from some people that he's acted like he's cutting down the nets when he won a play-in game. But, you got to get excited when you're around student athletes and you win. And he was really excited, like they won the championship. And they did. They won a game, which gives them a game against the top seed, which is Utah State. And as you know, this is all about matchups. College basketball is all about matchups. And for whatever reason, UNLV matches up really well against Utah State. UNLV is long. They're really good defensive on the perimeter. They rebound the ball well. Utah State likes to play fast, but the length of UNLV has given them a problem. Utah State kills everybody in this conference, but for whatever reason, they don't put away Josh Pastner, who has not lost to this team in conference. So it's going to get loud. Yes, it's on CBS Sports Network. We're going to have the Mountain West Commissioner, Gloria Nevarez, going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Levi Edwards will join us from Raiders headquarters. I'll get to that. And then Chris Matthews, the dean of the Newsmen, will join us a little bit later on in the show. All right, here's what I wanted to open up with in the monologue as we kick off the show today. The insanity of Max Crosby and what happened this week. It's insanity on any level you look at it, especially from a media perspective and a sports radio perspective. This is absolute insanity that Max Crosby was traded for 2 first-round picks and then returned because the Baltimore Ravens found a loophole and they got out of that. Now, notice I opened up with the word a loophole. Well, they did. They found out that they could renege on the deal before the league year started yesterday, and that's exactly what they did. Eric DaCosta, the GM of the Baltimore Ravens, met the media yesterday, and he looked like a lying, coward, used car salesman on a lot outside Owens Mills, Maryland. It was pathetic. He talked about his love of the Raiders, how much he likes Mark Davis, the greatness of Al Davis, as he absolutely screwed over the Raiders for epic proportion. But I don't think he screwed us over because we get Max Crosby back. But the decision by the organization is more important at this time. I think it's great that Max is back, and I think most Raider Nation is really excited about that. But the problem is this is a business in this league, and there's relationships. And the Baltimore Ravens not only screwed over the Las Vegas Raiders, but they screwed over the rest of the league because multiple teams were interested in Max Crosby. Multiple teams. They weren't able to get a deal done because the Ravens reportedly had the best deal available. 2 first-round picks, including the number 14 overall pick in this year's draft. So, okay, Ravens had a good pick. I don't like the 14th pick compared to Max Crosby. I like Max Crosby a lot better than the 14th pick from some player who just won the underwear Olympics at the Combine, but I'm sure he would have been a good player. Now the Raiders get back a great player after they went out in free agency and they signed 7 to 8 new starters. I don't say new because Eric Stokes is back. He was a remaining starter and he's back. But the 7 other players that they brought in, including a kicker, and again, I don't know if the kicker's an upgrade or not. I like Carlson. We'll see how that plays out. But the Raiders added a new defense here that's pretty good. And if you look at Kwity Paye and the linebackers that came in and everybody else that's out there, you got to be pretty excited that the Raiders got out of Dodge on Monday as this Max Crosby scenario was imploding, as Max and his wife Rachel went all the way back to Baltimore to pretty much get introduced and have a good time to be a Raven, which is something he decided on and something he was comfortable doing. It's not an easy decision for Max, but Max wanted to go and compete, and it didn't work out, and now he's back with the Raiders. But if you take a look at what the Raiders have done with Kwity Paye, Quay Walker, Tyler Linderbaum, Eric Stokes, and all the players that they brought in, that was a really special day for John Spidek and the Raiders on Monday. And I really think we didn't spend enough time celebrating what John Spidek and the Raiders did on Monday, because then all this Max Crosby chaos kind of hit the wire. Max left me a really personal and nice voice message yesterday. We have a pretty good relationship. I'm not going to call him during this time, but he left me a really nice long message about what he's been through, and he's ready to go. And it's in God's hands. If you notice that, Max has been saying this a lot. He's been talking about God lately. I'm sure he's talking about God all the time. When it comes to the media perspective of all this, it's in God's hands, and God doesn't make a bad decision. So Max, I think, is highly motivated. He's been through a lot. It's the 6-year anniversary of his sobriety, which is really big. And Max is moving forward in his life, and he was in the building pretty early yesterday, and he's ready to go. So now we're going to talk about how this was handled. And it's a really hot topic for me because I get very defensive when the media handles a topic poorly. And this was handled horribly on every level. So for those who wanted to criticize me and say, well, you didn't think he was going to be traded. No, you're wrong. I said there's a possibility he could be traded. I wanted him to stay. So he stays. Am I right? Am I doing a victory lap around the concourse at section 106, 105 that Max is here and he's not traded? That's what I said. I didn't want Max to be traded. Does that mean I was right? No, I wasn't right, because there was a deal in place to trade Max Crosby, and I was ready to handle it like everybody else. But it turns out Max is back. So everybody who's trying to get ahead of this story, the majority of the people who tried to get ahead of this story were wrong. It started at the Super Bowl. It started going into the Combine, during the Combine, and out of the Combine. And if you look back, nobody had this scenario. So technically, no one was right. Is that fair to say, everybody? No one thought that the Ravens, and remember, everybody was talking about the Cowboys and the Bears more so than the Ravens. Well, let's assume someone got it right and they thought maybe he'd go to the Ravens. Well, he didn't go to the Ravens, so they're wrong. But he did go to the Ravens, and the deal fell apart predominantly because of this me and the medicals. And no one was wrong on that scenario. But guys like Kirk Morrison told us yesterday that he's known for weeks that Max Crosby would probably fail his physical. How the hell did Daniel Jones pass a physical with a blown-out Achilles and Max didn't pass a physical with a meniscus. So as I dove into this topic, maybe more than anyone, because I have a personal connection not only with Max and the team, and I got a personal relationship with several of these insiders, it's been absolute chaos. It's been a nightmare and it's been chaos. And I believe the only way this is going to work is if both Tom Brady and John Spytek, who are super professionals, and Max Crosby and his agent, or Max Crosby by himself, and Mark Davis, if they haven't done it already, sit down together and iron this out, and everybody get a laugh over it, have a good time, and let Max do what Max does best. Let Max go out and start wrecking teams and playing at a high level with a new group of teammates who are better than the defensive teammates he had in the past. Fact, not fiction. Max Crosby has better teammates now that he's meeting than he had last year. Not that those teammates weren't good guys. Not that those teammates didn't care. They just weren't as good. So now with Tyler Linderbaum in the building, and you look at the linebackers that came in who played with Bowers at Georgia, and you look at Naylor, who played at Bishop Gorman, is going to be a pretty good wide receiver. I mean, who would you say is better today, Jalen Naylor or Jack Bash? They're both 2/3s, both fighting for balls, both fighting to get footballs, and they're fighting with Brock Bowers to get balls, and Michael Mayer and Ashton Genty, who by all accounts is going to get 25 touches a game total in rushing touches and receiving touches. Bowers is going to get 10 to 12. We're going to have possibly up to 40 touches by Genty and Bowers per game if the Raiders stay on the field with Mendoza and move the chains and eat up time of possession. I mean, I've seen this team not get over 30-something, 33 possessions in games. I've seen them get in the 40s, which was pathetic. I've seen them get in the 50s and then sometimes the 60s. I'm pretty comfortable now that Max Crosby is going to have a little bit more time to get to know something really important in his life. The bench. I'm pretty sure that on 3rd and 8, there are going to be times now that Max Crosby doesn't have to put his helmet on because A.J. Cole's coming in to punt. And he's going to be playing defense because Mendoza and Genty and Bowers, and this team's going to be picking up first downs. A lot of this goes to Kubiak still in the offense and how they're going to be able to pull that off. So am I excited? I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm optimistic because I love Max. I do. I don't like him. I love Max. I know the Raiders are a better team with Max Crosby. I also know I'm a season ticket holder and pay for tickets. And my ticket is more valuable with Max Crosby when I park and go out and have my Modelo's in the parking lot and my carne asada going in for the pregame at the Torch. I know my ticket is more valuable when my wife and son is sitting because as of today, Max Crosby's on the team. It's a better ticket. It's like going to see Pearl Jam without Eddie Vedder. I'm not going to see Pearl Jam if Eddie Vedder isn't performing, right? So you're going to have Max Crosby hopefully performing. Now, as people in the chat are saying, and we're live on YouTube, right here from the Thomas and Mack at the Modelo Bar. Maybe I should turn around later and show everybody, Vanessa, this beautiful Modelo Bar. Right behind me is a UNLV case of memorabilia with a Garth Brooks guitar, a real one, Oscar De La Hoya shorts, and a lot of other UNLV memorabilia. That is pretty cool. I've seen so many big concerts in this building, really good concerts in this building. And I got to Vegas after UNLV in 89 and 90. So I wasn't here for the greatness of Jerry Tarkanian, but I was here for some pretty big events. And if you come here for the rodeo, you know how great this building is. So they dropped a whole bunch of money into this building in the concourse to try to get it going and everybody to have a good time. And it's a nice building. It's centrally located. You can get here 5, 6, 7 minutes from the strip if you don't hit traffic. And then when they have a tournament like this, they can really accommodate you. It was really easy getting in here today. The staff is excellent. So we're excited to be here today. If you want to get through, again, if you're watching on our stream, it's kind of tough to get the phone calls on the stream when we're live at a remote, but I'll be able to hear you and I'll pass along your call to our listeners and everybody else who can hear us on radio. We are radio first. You can give us a call at 702-365-9200. So the topic today, other than talking basketball, is a simple one, and it's an important one from your perspective. How are you handling all this mentally? How are you dealing with this as a Raider fan? I think I got a generally good idea that everybody's good with Max being back. There are a couple of rogue knuckleheads and anonymous eggshells on Twitter, X, that don't like the fact that Max is back and thinks that Max is a traitor and he wanted to be a part of Flavin's flock. That's a bunch of garbage. It's a business and Max is coming back. I don't think you can name a player that I've covered in modern Raider history who's better to handle this chaos of being traded but not traded and coming back than Max Crosby. Imagine how Devontae would have handled this. How about that? Imagine Devontae gets moved as we move Devontae to the Rams for a pick, and then the trade doesn't go through and Devontae came back. You think Devontae be handling this well? I don't think so. So Max, as of today, I think is handling this well. He's a man of character, and he's a game wrecker, as James Foster says on the text here, on the chat, and I appreciate that. Now, the kind of negative news. There's a chance Max Crosby could be traded in 10 minutes. But there are reports out there, I'm not reporting it, that the Raiders are not going to move Max Crosby. But you never know what's going to happen. Jerry Jones in Dallas, we can go around the league. Chicago, I still think, is a team that might be able to do this. So when you take a look at what could happen here, could Max Crosby still be traded? Absolutely. Absolutely, he could still be traded because that was the vision of Max Crosby and John Spytek to put a deal together, and they put a deal together. So could another deal get put together? Abso-freaking-lutely it could, but I hope it doesn't. That's where we stand. All right, so I'm excited. I'm excited that Max is here. Now, as I was telling Vanessa, who is our great engineer, let's show her in the chat, man. She set this thing up. Unbelievable, man. You broke a record today setting up a radio remote. I don't know how you did that. She found the power. She found the plugs. She found the Wi-Fi. She found it all so we could get set up here. We're going to talk about how you're going to handle this, but the other big issue becomes we want to hear from Tyler Linderbaum. So here's Tyler Linderbaum from earlier today. He was on with Paul Gutierrez over at the Raiders facility after he formally signed with the Silver and Black. Every time, staff, so sorry for All right, so that's part of Tyler Linderbaum with Paul Gutierrez. That's over at Raiders.com. And I think everybody should be pretty happy about the fact that this deal went through. I didn't think this deal was going to fall apart by any means. I didn't think that was going to happen. But, when you take a look at what could happen and deals potentially falling apart because Max's deal fell apart, there was a chance that other teams could have been saying, hey, to some of the later potential signings, take a look at what's going on. Maybe come here or not. That wasn't going to happen. This was a rare, once in a lifetime time that we'd see anything like this. I hope it doesn't happen again. It happened to the Raiders. And I think the Raiders, people are asking me, where do they sit with the salary cap? They're fine. They're fine. Are they great? Yeah, they're actually great because they spent a ton of money and they still have money left. So it's still having money left and being in a pretty good situation. I think you got to be pretty happy that, A, they had a lot of money to spend and they spent a lot of it quickly. Do you know what would have happened if we didn't spend, we, the Raider Nation, did not spend this money on Monday and waited till Tuesday? Well, I can promise you Tyler Linderbaum would have been gone. I think the Raiders were way ahead of everybody, and they paid him a lot of money, more than anybody else expected. So they gave Linderbaum an offer he couldn't refuse. I mean, he blew out the highest paid dollar amount ever played to a center or an interior offensive lineman. And he seems pretty genuine about the fact that he wants to play for Coach Kubiak and help the Raiders win games. So I like that. I like the fact that he's just going to come in here and be a workhorse. And I watched the press conference live today, and when I saw it, he reminded me a lot of Colt Miller. It felt like when Tyler Linderbaum was speaking that we were there listening to Colt Miller, kind of a quiet guy, a guy who was going to be very calculated with his thoughts, be a team player and all that. So if people are asking, are there other offensive linemen to sign? Hell yeah, there are. There's still offensive linemen available in free agency. I want to see the Raiders get at least two. I thought that getting one was a priority. They were able to do that. I think two is a necessity, and they have to get another starter because I don't think there's another starter on the team in regards to being a reserve. You can make anybody a starter, but I don't think they're at a level that'll be good enough to block and protect Mendoza. I don't know what you want me to say about DJ Glaze or some of the other young players there. I think they're okay. I think they're good. They're not elite. They're not potential Pro Bowlers yet. So I'd rather find some guys who are proven, and with some of the money left, I wouldn't be shocked if they were able to do that. So yeah, from Walker from Green Bay would be good. I think that would be kind of an expensive play now, but the price should be dropping because the farther you go away from the Monday of free agency, the cheaper some of these stories get. If you want to listen to the calls via radio on 920, you're able to do that. If you're listening to me, you're listening to me live in the concourse at the Thomas and Mack Center as we're opening up the show from the Mountain West. And UNLV is leading 13-11 at the 12-minute mark in the first half. So good news for UNLV. They came out swinging already, and they're ready to go. Okay, so we got a lot more sound to play coming up here in a little bit. Let me start off with Raider John in Phoenix. John, get in. What's happening? Thanks for calling in. What do you got? Something for that. I take some. They're all extra large. Can I take one of these? No, that's these. Okay, you have that, yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Then we come up the next group and he loves the Raiders. We have to come every year. Right? Amen. Yep. All right. Appreciate the call. Look, again, thanks for the compliment on what I knew or what I didn't know. All I said in the monologue is most everybody didn't know crap. Throughout this whole entire time, nobody knew crap. And what did I tell you every day on the radio? No one knew crap. From the housewives to the insiders, they didn't know crap. And they just wanted to have headlines, and they needed the headlines to get you to log on and get through their paywall and go read what? That Max Crosby might get traded? Was that breaking news at the Super Bowl? That Max Crosby might get traded? You don't think I knew that? You don't think I knew after the Commitment to Excellence Awards when we talked privately that he might have gotten traded the following week? This was all Captain Obvious crap. Everybody knew about it, but everybody tried to spin it their own way to try to be exclusive. That's what's happening now. When you give people phones and podcasters electric cords, they need people to come in and listen to them. And some of them are really good. We have Wasted Talent we're going to have on tomorrow. He's really good. He's got good information. There's a lot of people that are talking about the Raiders who don't have a key card. They can't get in the parking lot. They don't know the coaches. They don't know the players. And all of it is fake. They're trying to get you to connect with them. And if they're cool people and they're fans, right? You know, like Samoan Raider, who I like, who's friends with my son, other people, hook up with them. They got good information. They're good content creators. But there's a lot of other people that are trying to cut the line. They didn't start on overnight radio. They didn't do weekend radio. They weren't an intern. They didn't go to practice. They're not allowed in practice. They're not allowed to go to camp. And then they try to get in front of stories and tell you, I have breaking news. No, you have no breaking news. You have nothing. You don't talk to Max. You don't have his phone number. You don't text him. You don't know his wife. You haven't been to his house. You don't know anything. And I don't use that relationship to say that you can't do that somewhere else in your career. But if you're doing it now, acting like you know something, you don't know anything. And we proved that this week because, unfortunately, this story delved into chaos, and no one predicted the chaos. From Ian Rappaport to Diana Rossini to Adam Schefter to Pat McAfee to my guy Stephen A., no one knew this was going to happen. That means nobody got it right. You get what I'm saying, Jack? Nobody got it right. So if you want to do laps and say, she's my favorite insider, he's good, oh, this guy's better, all of them combined knew nothing. They gave you stuff that they said was Captain Obvious blank, and they wanted you to pay attention to it. At least I'm honest to you. At least I'm going to tell you when I don't have anything. And a lot of times I have things that I'm not going to put out because the relationship is too important to ruin a relationship. There you go. 702-365-9200. I'm going to watch the game right now. I'm going to come back. UNLV 14, Utah State 11. How does Utah State have only 11 points? How does Utah State only have 11 points at the 10-minute mark of the conference tournament? How do you have only 10? Now they got 11 points. It's 14-11. We're halfway through the first half, and Utah State only has 11. This is incredible. All right, Gloria Nevarez is going to join us coming up. She is the commissioner of the Mountain West. Madam President will join us coming up here. The monologue brought to you by La Casa Cigars, man. Oh, it's so good. What a job Mike's done over there. Have you been to Tivoli Village? Of course you have. Have you been to La Casa? You should be. It's brand new. They're putting in a private room, a VIP room, outdoor seating in the front and the back. I got my locker over there. I got my own JT the Brick locker for my sticks. They got the Modelo, the Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, the Remy Martin, and a beautiful walk-in humidor. Live from the Thomas and Mack. We are here till 2 o'clock Pacific time. Also live on YouTube to see UNLV go for a three-peat over Utah State. If that happens, this place is going to be pumping on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Good. Yeah, I had to go crack the housewives who have been getting this wrong. You have the water? Oh, yeah. Please don't make the favorite. Oh, thank you. Thank you. What? We have it. We got it. It's right here. We're all good. We are all good, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we're in a break now, Michael. So anytime she comes, we'll fit her in. Yeah, just for 11, 12:30. Yeah, perfect. No rush. So we can fit her in basically anytime after this. You got it. Yeah, anytime. Yeah. Preferably. Right here. Yeah, good. Right. Thank you, Lana. So good on JT again. Yeah. Right here. See JT, how you doing, Jake? Good seeing you. Yeah, right. Yeah. There you go. We're right down the street. Oh, how you been? You got a minute or two. We're in a break. Nice kicks.
What?
You got them going. Yeah.
You know, our staff, they're a bunch of sneakerheads and they just rip on each other. And so they were talking, the ones they complimented, another woman was wearing. So I bought them last year at this event so I could wear them.
And you don't need a lift to it. You get a little lift to it too. Yeah.
Over the crowd.
How you been? You having a good time? Good.
Yeah.
Good. We're the Raider station too, and we got like big Raider news this week.
What was the
Max Crosby got traded and then traded back? Heard that story?
No.
He no. Southwest Radio as Utah State leads 18-16 here in the first half. JT back with you at the Thomas and Mack. Gloria Nevarez kind enough to join us. She's the commissioner of the Mountain West. We spoke to her in the past. We're thrilled to be out here again in a big early noon game. How are you?
Excellent to have you back. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. This is an interesting game, and as a commissioner, you'll just watch this and see how it plays out. But the UNLV beat Baysphere, already beat Utah State twice, and now we have another competitive contest before halftime. That's good for the Mountain West.
It's really good for the league. It raises the profile, and you can hear in the background, it's already got a lot of energy in the building.
I know you're excited about a bunch of things. First off, I want to talk about in meeting here. And the executive office is coming to Vegas. What went into that behind the scenes, and how's everybody figuring out?
You know, somewhere between the eastern border of Nevada is the geographic center for Tour League. So it really made sense to gravitate here. We have a bunch of championships here already: basketball, volleyball, tennis. And it's an easy place for folks to get in and out of, and all the reasons it's become a great entertainment hub. So we're very, very excited, and maybe off great work.
Congratulations on that. Television, streaming, radio, everybody, we know how Vegas is the sports and entertainment capital of the world. But for your other partners that you're adding now, what are you excited about?
Well, one, re-upping with huge legacy partners in CBS and Fox. That's really important to be part of their family and ecosystem, be part of those big brands, you know, the home, college basketball and CBS, and what crosses the football with our championship, but also adding a new partner, CW, you know, we're not afraid to embrace innovation. And then our fourth tier rights being on a direct-to-consumer network. So your UNLV fans here will be able to see everything else that isn't on those three linear carriers, and all proceeds go back to UNLV.
How is that for young people that are in college or even younger, or just out of college, to find all your sports and entertainment products? Is it getting easier? What can you tell us about how everyone is evolving from the phone to the tablet to the television and streaming devices?
Well, you know, in live sports, and again, the importance of our linear partners, CBS and Fox, are still for those big, big contests, important audience and exposure there. But you know, this next generation, they are watching on their tablets and phones, and to be able to, you know, we did a little experimental thing with students of the broadcast clips of games they were playing with so that they can turn NIL. Like, doing these things is even more important to the attraction and elevation of the new time here.
Gloria Nevarez is our guest. She is the commissioner of the Mountain West. What is it like to have the role that you have now and your tremendous background before this position? Now to see other conferences trying to poach other teams and your conference trying to get better teams along the way. How much of your day is not consumed by that, but at least watching your flank and looking to growth in the future? What's that like?
Well, my job previous to this one was from West Coast Conference, and at the time, ironically, the Mountain West was sniffing around
That's what
Gonzaga.
I'm asking, yeah.
And so then I fast forward, I took this job in 23, and it's very, very public. And some schools are looking to leave and to go other places, but we have always been that league.
Yeah.
BYU, TCU, Utah. We find talent and develop it, not only at the institutional level, president, AD, coach, student athlete. We have been that league. So it's happening at private base. You know what? Always developed.
Gloria, I want to ask you about academics and how important that is. You talked about that last year, knowing that all your partnership schools here, education comes first, sports comes second. And now there's a big involvement with all that with NIL. And I don't understand. My son's a sports agent and he's young in the business. And it's incredible that athletes want to go from conference to conference, team to team to make money. And that's something new over the last 5 years or so. Well, how does the education fit in? And you move credits and you transfer and you come to a competing school. Is that something that's really complex, or is it getting easier?
That is a great question, because honestly, it is the biggest positive storyline for the NCAA has been graduation rates. Student athletes across the board graduate at higher rates than their counterparts on campus. Students on campus, not student athletes, are transferring at higher rates than ever. And so for student athletes, admittedly, different motivation and different incentives are actually starting to trend toward following the general student rate. So we know the NCAA is working on a system to modernize the transfer tracking rate, graduation rate, and the degree completion progress. That's a really important piece to as well. So
Gloria Nevarez, as we wrap it up, we got a good game going on. 23 for Utah State, 18 for UNLV. We got about 6 minutes and 30 seconds before halftime. When you look at the campus experience, as you go around to all these schools. Tell us a little bit about that. When you hit the ground, you go visit a campus, you're taking a look at them evolving, not only their sports arenas, but their campus lifestyle. What is that part of your job? How do you like?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And we have to get out and being at our campuses. And I just came back from Fargo, North Dakota, welcoming our newest members and football only.
Yeah, tell us about that. Everybody's excited about that.
Okay, first of all, we published the matchups, not the full schedule,
Yeah.
just the pairings. They had over 320,000 views on that post alone. Our next closest view was at 20,000. Just on that posting.
So you expect them to travel well.
Oh,
that's
they
a
are.
football fan base. That
Yes.
way, especially when they're at Allegiant Stadium or you look at some of the other venues around the way. It's not really we're the new partner, passionate partner. They're going to have fans that travel.
And I've heard, open up your RV lots, get your hotels ready, and brace yourselves in the box office because they're excited to come here and all the places.
And, that's what, we don't shy around this with Allegiant Stadium. I mean, we talked about that last year, this partnership. What have you learned about that building more as you see more and more games there with UNLV and the opportunity for postseason play?
Yeah, well, was it 2 months ago? Wow, it's all blurring together. But we hosted one of the championships here. It's like a shiny new toy. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's beautiful. We had great meetings with their folks while we were here this week. And so we really appreciate that partnership and the ability to showcase our league in such an amazing venue.
Gloria Nevarez, as we wrap it up. So overall with sports in general, when we look at the college experience, you got parents listening now that have kids that are 12, 15, 16, making decisions. Why the Mountain West overall? What is that experience like for a student athlete coming in right now with all the growth that you've been a big part of?
Exactly what I was saying earlier. We find and develop talent. We really do. You get better when you come here, whether you're a president, an AD, a coach, a student athlete. And college is about increasing your life opportunities. And that's what we do, both as a student and a student athlete.
Well, as we wrap this up, I've been out here since the 90s. You're going to get used to the weather in the summer. Because you're going to love that. You got to get a little bit of a break in July and August and get to the beach, which you can drive to or get there in 45 minutes. We don't have much of a winter. We get a little bit of a winter, but you're traveling to a lot of areas within this conference that could get really cold really quickly and come back here.
Okay, quick story. I was visiting Eric Harper, the AD down here, and he forgot something in his office. So he left me in the car with the windows up and the AC on. And his dashboard started to flash. Do you know what I mean? That's a jinx.
Help me, save me. Madam Commissioner, thank you. It's always good to have you on. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Here she is, Gloria Nevarez. Appreciate it very much as she continues to run around this arena on what will be a fantastic day today. Ever since we started this conversation, UNLV has been quiet. It's 26-21. We have 4 minutes to go until halftime, and then this place is going to blow up at halftime as everybody comes to get a Modelo right there. We've got Modelo coming. If you want to send, give us a call, 702-365-9200 is the number for those who are watching and live streaming. Stick around here. We'll only stay to the top of the hour, but I want you to see this far fill up there. Maybe it'll get you motivated to have a survey. So we are talking about Max Crosby and his return. But is it a return? He never left. He was always under contract. He was under contract when he got on the plane to go to Baltimore. He was a Raider under contract. People ask me, JT, how come you didn't repost Max's post about him coming back? Because I talked to Max and I posted everything Max says. My job isn't to repost everything that Max does. Because I have a problem with my own social media, as you can tell. So we appreciate Gloria Nevarez. She's really the sharp women here who's running the Mountain West. And if you're into sports and sports conferences, it's really remarkable what's changed in the last 5 years. My son graduated from Oklahoma. My son now is a progressive sports agent who's getting his master's degree in this side of the business. So he doesn't live with us anymore. When he comes over to the house for dinner, when we talk about what he's dealing with as he's talking to student athletes, United Channels are going to Victory School. It's been exciting to I enjoy the conversation and learn about it, especially for my son who's just 24 years old. But I don't like the fact that I was talking about an education. I always talk about an education first. And I brought that up with the Madden commissioner. If we ever get to the point that going to college is not about getting an education, if we ever get that insane where we go to college and we do not even think of pretending that we're getting an education, and we are closer to that than we've ever been. We are closer now to players leaving schools and not worrying about their academics transferring. Oh, how many credits do I have? I don't care. What do you mean you don't care? You want to graduate, right? You're not going to play in the NFL. You are not going to make it into the NFL. You got to get an education. I don't care. I'm going to transfer. I'm going to go from LSU to Tennessee. I'm going to go from Ole Miss and I'm going to go to Texas. Okay, what about your credits? What about your credits? How are you going to be able to move it there? Does anybody care about getting an education anymore? This ain't get off my lawn stuff. This is real stuff. Because most parents understand that their sons and or daughters will not be professional athletes. So they're getting NIL money now. And look, not everybody's going to be Arch Manning getting $6 million a year. But if you get a tight end, from a school that's making $400,000, and he can take that $400,000 after taxes and take $200,000 of it and put it into some type of annuity or some type of an investment. So maybe only in 6 to 7 or 8 years, it's worth $1 million. And that player goes on and doesn't play in the pros and has a job. It'd be nice to have $1 million compounding interest after you went to college. I just think this is getting crazy now. I don't know who's benefiting from it, but we all know that the television networks are making too much money, and the players have got to get a piece of that. 702-365-9200. Clay is back in studio. He's let me know if you call in here. We got some really good sound to play. Levi Edwards will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Also, Chris Matthews from 8 News Now will also jump on in, and we'll dive more into some of the sound that was happening earlier today. Josh in Los Angeles. Josh, thanks for calling. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead. Yeah, let me ask you something. And before you hang up, if you did hang up, why do you think the Raiders were done dirty? That's the biggest topic in sports. Do you believe that Baltimore had the right to get out of the deal because of the medicals? Or do you believe Eric DeCosta was lying his tail off because he wanted to get more value with Trey Hendrickson and get the picks back? No. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the call. I appreciate that. That's kind of what I wanted to do if we were going to take some calls today from the Thomas and Mack Center is get your opinion on the level of how the Raiders got done dirty. Like if you're going to put this on a scale of how the Raiders got screwed over on this deal, and I'm thrilled. Let me just say this to our audience. We have new people jumping on. I am thrilled that Max is back. If you want to buy your JT the Brick shirt and give me credit for any one thing I said, your buddy JT the Brick said I never wanted Max to be traded. Did I not? Did I not? And I'm not doing a victory lap around Thomas and Mack. But was I right that Max is still here and he wasn't traded? Technically, I was right. But I was wrong because I wanted Max to stay the whole entire time. I never believed that Max Crosby should have been traded. From Max's perspective and John Spytek accommodating the fact that Max and his agent wanted to go to a better team. If John Spytek said to Max, no, you are under contract, you're a best player, we refuse to trade you, and I'm pretty tight with Max, I would have sided with John Spytek on that, to keep Max Crosby. I have never wavered on that. Never wavered on that topic. But I didn't think this would happen. 28-21, Utah State. When we come back, we'll wrap up this hour. More sound coming in from some of the new dogs. And I mean they're dogs out of Georgia. You'll hear a little bit of sound from Quiddy Pay and also Quay. Got a lot of names we got to learn here. As the Raiders are building out their roster in free agency, we're live from the Thomas and Mack. Let's see a little of that game during the commercial. I am 27. Yeah, just go to the right. Good. I'll see you when I'm done at 2. Yeah. Yeah. Show everything. Thank you. Everything's perfect. Fantastic. Yeah. Really good. She's really down to earth. You know? I'll see you there. Clay, do we have all right, Chad. Thanks for putting up with us today. You know, you're doing this is JT Raw. All right, this is what radio is. It's live. It's more about the radio show than the stream. I apologize. But you know, this is what we do. My primary job is the radio. My fun job is the YouTube stream and the bricklayers until we start making more revenue out of this. That's why we need 20,000 subscribers. And then we can do some other cool little things here. Maybe generate a little income for my sons. But we gotta build this thing one bricklayer at a time. That's not working well. That's the problem. That's the problem with this whole thing. That like we can't get the audio from the callers into the field. Anybody on hold? Good. Yeah. All right, that's Jason Horowitz on the call. JT back with you as we continue on. We are live from the Modelo Cantina. They have a Modelo bar, which is fantastic, right here at the Thomas and Mack Center, right at section 106, 105, as UNLV is trailing by 10 to Utah State 33-23. Now, Utah State's the number 1 seed. They're the best team in the conference, but UNLV beat them twice so far this year in league play. The point spread, I believe, going into the game was Utah State -8, 8.5, and now they're covering up 10 points. So I talked to a lot of people about this game today. People just want to see UNLV to have a chance with 5 minutes to go. They're playing in their home building. That should be an advantage. But unfortunately, it's not an advantage because this is not 1989-90. This isn't fans waiting outside wrapped around the arena. Can you imagine? And I want to be careful what I say here because I'm a guest. When I'm a guest, I treat people differently. I'm a guest today. I don't know how you go to the school at UNLV and don't come to these games. I can't imagine going to school here on a Thursday at noon and saying, I'm walking across campus for free and I'm going to see this game. What do you think they do at Duke? What do you think they do at Michigan State? What do you think they do in Arizona? I am fascinated that the city of Las Vegas at times, the city of Las Vegas cannot get better players to come to Las Vegas to have a college experience. You know, UNLV is a nice school. It's improved a lot since I lived here. You can get a nice medical degree, a nice law degree, one of the best hospitality degrees in the world. So if you want a good education, depending on what you're studying, air quotes, you can come to UNLV. But when it comes to sports, there's a lot of choices in the city, and there's going to be more choices. And one of the main choices should be, Clay, you agree. You've been here with me a long time. One of the main choices in this town should be, if it's convenient and if it's not expensive, I am going to support UNLV athletics. All right, everybody, we'll come back. Hour number 2 on deck here. We got a good Friday show tomorrow. We got a couple of good guests that I lined up for tomorrow. But today was more about the beginning of March Madness. For me, this is the beginning of the Fraternal Order of the Men of Khaki Pants coming to Vegas to take over. I've lived here a long time, and pound for pound, March Madness is the greatest thing we do in Vegas. It's pound for pound the best thing we do in Vegas. Let's make sure we keep it that way. Good. I'm completely focused on the chat now. Completely. Hey, Joe. I thought you were okay, and I turned around. What? 2 feet less. I don't know what itself. She knows all the ins and outs. I got a few quick. She knows now. She's a little women's. That's fine. Wow. Sorry. Don't be the large stuff again a little bit. The short term presents and not bad performance. In this stuff. So, typical leaving town to the spring break. So the members of law, which I know I told you the house might be just bought my rising. It's down in square foot bedrooms, so let's stay up in lots of that here. So let's do this. It's still telling us to do the nature. Grenadines, so we'll do we're going to pursue one day, then go days, they'll take that to the beach or the kids all up there. No, we had a meeting. I said, why don't we go to the meeting where? Catch up and watch the teachers. Yeah, I'll be hanging here and then I get to Chris Mack and say, Chris, jump in. Chris, yes, jump in. Chris, we got time. We got a few minutes. Jump in. Yeah, Chris Matthews here. Too much one-on-one. Do they have a chance to come back and win this? They were down 15. Wow. You would know, Jersey Joe. He would know. I know you did. I know you did. Nice meeting you. How's it going? Wow, do you think we've had a lot to talk about this week? Is it crazy? I've never seen anything like it. It's nuts. Yeah, the whole product, the whole Crosby thing irritates me. Are you happy he's back? Oh, yeah, good. I am good. I mean, you happy he's back? Why wouldn't you want him back? I mean, now that would be if they do that, then Spytak's got to be held accountable. He can't do that. Hour number 2, we're at the Modelo Bar right at the Concourse 106, 105 as we continue on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Here, one of my great news guys, the dean of the newsmen, as I like to say, the great Chris Matthews. I knew you would be here today because you understand how important the Mountain West tournament is to the lifeblood of Las Vegas. Yeah, and Josh Pastor, what a job he's done. I mean, he's beaten the Utah team during the regular season. They're the top seed unit. Now they're down, I think, 14 points at the half, but they came back from 15 down up in Logan to beat the Aggies. Then they just blew them out here. UNLV blew out the my dad's old school here in Las Vegas. So we'll see what happens in the second half. But a lot of one-up. Hey, Jersey Joe, a lot of fans here in Las Vegas who know a former UNLV running back that played with John Robinson. He was saying, JT, too much one-on-one basketball. One of my favorite people and great friends. I hope to jump in on a couple of things. But at one point, about the 11-minute mark, Utah State only had 11 points. And I was talking to Michael Mack, and he said, just get this thing halftime. 2 points, 2-point lead, 2 points down. And then Utah State just took it up another level. That's why, Chris, they're the number 1 team. You know them better than I do. This Utah State team's no joke. Being the number 1 seed out. Yeah, they have the best player of the year on the team. They have size. They can shoot the basketball. So, when you look back at the season, man, how did UNLV beat this team twice? They do kind of match up well, but UNLV all season long has had trouble playing defense. Josh Pastors even came on. I think it was after the Fresno State game, or I think it was. I'm not positive. He said, well, man, this is the worst defense since I've had 15 years. So they've had some trouble playing defense, but yesterday was fun. They went down to the wire with Wyoming. Nobody expects UNLV to win this thing and get to the NCAA tournament. If he can get Tyron Jones, the Las Vegas kid, and I don't see how he does, but if somehow he can pull off a miracle and get Drake, get Flo to come back, I don't think we'll have this Power 4 schools will offer a ton of money. But he said, he told me prior to our sports rep show on Channel 8, he says, if I get those 2 guys to somehow come back, we will go to the season as a top 25 team, which is true because he's got some guys. He's got the point guard sitting out. He's been injured all year. His center from Arizona's been sitting out. So he's got some talent. We'll see what happens. Switch Matthews joins him. So I've been with the Raiders since '98. You've been the best in the business for a long time. Have you ever seen anything close to the Mack Crosby saw? No, so crazy. That's the top story in the NFL right now. For how many days running? Almost a week running here. Big story. I'm really disappointed in Baltimore. I know you probably talked about that a million times, but how do you not do your due diligence? Let's just say I'm a doctor in Vegas and you're a doctor in Baltimore, the team doctor, say, hey, how's Mack Crosby surgery going? Hey, well, we think this miss. You tell your people, yeah. Their doctors in Vegas say it's going well, it's going to heal, it's all that. Crosby is medication and rehab.
How do you go into that? Not that you make the trade, the handshake deal. How do you not go into that saying, hey, Baltimore says he's fine. Let's go ahead with the deal. Okay, we'll give him 2 first rounders. I just think they got cold feet. For an NFL team not to do its due diligence, I think that's embarrassing.
But what about the fact that there's a chance that the Cosper looked at the scenario of the value drop of the trade interesting? Said, wow, he's still on the market. I have cold feet. I'll let my 2 bids split up. Look at this next year's pick. Pick isn't going to be great. It'd be the 26th pick or the 28th pick in the first round. Baltimore wins. But to renege on an NFL partner, that sport's built on owners and partnerships. Men and women who are supposed to have some level of decency. For Baltimore to do that to the Raiders, after John Spike spent over $200 million without Mack Crosby being there and part of the division, that's what makes this so bizarre.
So crazy. When you have all these teams who are spending the money, bringing players in, your cap, we're doing this and this because you realize you have a deal. I thought it was very interesting too, Jake, that the Raiders used the word backed out. That's exactly what happened. They backed out of a deal. I mean, any business, you can't run like Bill Foley here in Las Vegas will make sure all the Mark Vegas, you can't run a business on, now we're going to back it. Now we don't want to be guns. Like you said, hey, we can get Trey for a little bit cheaper and don't have to put up the crap. I just think it's really, really bad business. Due diligence is so important. Business practices are so important. And I think the Raiders have it. So we held it down.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is, people now, you're now that go to relationships. I just you can influence because of the sobriety, because of what he's been through mentally, he's staying with that room. And he's been through a lot of adversity. This is about the biggest adversity that you could have as a player, business with not on the field. Do you think the match is equipped to come back in and say, look, I asked Khalil, you accommodated me, but you know I'm a Raider, and let's just put this puzzle back together and everybody.
I think he can, and he's mature enough. And I like the social media post last night. I really like that line where he says, "I'm back." What was it? Something like, "Don't believe half of what you see, and believe what." I can't remember the exact quote was actually, but I thought it was really, really solid and good. The last thing he says, "I'm back," and Raider Nation's got to be loving that. Like you were saying, I mean, anybody in their right mind would trade a 14th pick for Max Crosby. So I think they're excited he's back. He's excited he's back. What was he in the building at 6 o'clock the very next night?
I got a call, not a text. When someone called me, was in the building that early. And I said, you got to be kidding me, because I knew what his flight arrangements were. Coming back from Baltimore. Imagine what him and his wife Rachel thought when they got to the airport. And they were heading back. And the captain's like, buckle up and going all the way across country back to Canada. And he's got to deal with thinking about that 5-6 hours in there. Well, I got to go back to work with this team and hopefully that's a big deal. I wonder if he will stay. You would think that he would. Now, I mean, if they set everything straight and Crosby is who he is, which I think he is, he's got to come back even more motivated. I think Brian, just like, let's go out and get these guys and let's prove it. Chris Matthews, I guess you're a storyteller, part of your job. So you look at this vintage story. Before I started with the Raiders, there were players like Lyle Zane, Matt Millen, right? And some guys who were George Atkinson and Jack Tatum, They were road guys, man. They were different type of guys, and they fit well with the Raiders, and it's a different story. Well, this is one of the more unique stories dating back to 1960. I would like to see the Raiders embrace this story and see it get somewhere to a finish line of postseason play. I don't see how you cannot. The only thing, maybe the only pushback I would have today's athletes and today's society and the way they do business is so much different that maybe it won't happen that way. But you're right here. I'm Lyle Alzado, Howie Long, Max Crosby. They all fit into that mold. They're true Raiders. If there's anybody who's a Raider, well, I mean, Max said he was coming back after. I want to retire as a Raider. I want to be against a Raider when it's all said and done. He's just a Raider through and through. Here's what I wish, JT. Hope some of these new free agents are just like Max Crosby. I mean, I heard the press conference this morning with the free agents, and they sounded, they're thrilled that Max is back. Who wouldn't be thrilled that Max is back? I like that kind of that mentality. Now go prove it on the field. Wrapping it up with Chris Mack. So, both my sons went to Bishop Bourne and one played there. Now I know I'm getting a little bit older when I see guys playing with my son. And around that, Jalen Naylor, they called him Speedy. So when my sons played freshman football, then my son went to varsity. I remember going to games with Tate Martell and Speedy and going, this is a national championship team. This isn't the best team in Southern Nevada or Nevada. This is the best team in America. He comes from that culture in Vegas. I'm thrilled that he's here. Twos and threes, Chris. I think this is like a 2 or 3 receiver, but maybe not playing under Justin Jefferson. He can go to 70 or 80 receptions.
Maybe he can shine. You know, you like that speed. You always want speed. Who was it? Cliff Branch. You always want speed on your football team. It's cool too. You mentioned that, Jay, there. We have high school foot. I was just going through a bunch of plays. I got to do a story with him. Hopefully we can get him in and do kind of with his family and just the memories, because we have a ton of high school footage with Jay. And you're right. He's running by players. He is running by players. I mentioned national championship team. Team was loaded. He was one of the best on that team.
All right, just a couple of other players. They overpaid for Tyler Linderbaum. It's just a problem. I don't mean that disrespectfully. No one was going to pay that money. The Raiders decided to take him off the market by giving him an overwhelming deal. I think that was very important despite that to start his run through agencies. I'm
going to ask you this, JT. If you and I walked onto a car lot and you really love that cherry red Corvette, but I kind of liked it as well, you might overpay for that because it's not a bad thing. You wanted that car more than anybody else. So you might pay $2,000-$3,000 more than I would. You know what? JT wants it more than I do. I'm going to have to go ahead and pay it, JT. If you want something bad enough and it's going to perform for you, that Corvette's going to perform for you, you're going to pay a little bit more for it. $10 million in the NFL. What's that? That's nothing. You got the best offensive lineman in the league coming here to protect Fernando Mendoza. That's huge.
It dictates your running game, the gent. And it dictates how he's going to pull to let Bowers get off the line of scrimmage. I think it's critical. Quiddy K, I don't think would have been here if Max Crosby wasn't traded, but they get the benefit of Quiddy K. Here's the big deal. Flay Walk, 3 years, $40 million. Kobe Bean, what he was able to do, 3 years, $36 million. Roughly the same amount of money for 2 starting linebackers. How many times have you and I talked on the air on press box, man? These linebackers couldn't cover anybody. Kelsey couldn't cover anybody. Now they have 2 dogs from Georgia who played with Stokes and Bowers who are going to fit in brilliantly with this new Robbie Leonard defense.
I love that. I love those 2 players coming up with linebackers that can get across the field quickly. Put those backs and his tight ends coming out of the backfield and off the line of scrimmage. I think it's a win-win right there. And as you mentioned, Walker, I like how it's set up right now. It just feels different, doesn't it? There's just kind of different from what John Spidek, Click Kubiak coming from the rich tree that he's come from, with the assistance of his buddy, Mike McCoy, a former Utah youth quarterback, as an assistant here. I like that hire. A lot of hires I like. Now, we'll see what happens during the season next year or the year beyond. But I really like going into the season. We were excited last year, JT, we had Gino Spain got Pete Carroll coming in there. A lot of enthusiasm. It's a different for now. Also, I get some legit rebuild. I don't even like using the word rebuild. A restart. A legit person for. Let's wrap it up. I really believe, even though I hate the word rebuild, it's an absolute rebuild until Monday. The list of players that they got on Monday, it's 8 or 9 guys, and they're starters. In the kicker, you trade starting kicker for a kicker, and Stokes is one. But to go with Teron Johnson, who was great with Buffalo when healthy, Flay Walker, Nakobe Dean, Quiddy K, Malcolm Coates as a starter back, Linderbaum, Jalen Naylor, and then Max Crosby. What a week! This could have been a disaster. What happens if Spytech only got 3 of those spots, was outbid on 4 of them, and didn't have Max Crosby? We may be sitting here fast. We've been talking about Mendoza, which I know they're going to have great team coverage on 8 years down. But this changes my perspective on everything. What is March Madness 18? 8 years now, because you've been here for it, but it's evolved even bigger since when we first met. Yeah, no, it's gigantic. It's big. Selection Sunday is on Saturday. We love that end of Sunday. Right out in Selection Sunday, we have our sports round coming up. So it's a lot of fun things. Madness next week, we have all the sports coming up. out of March Madness, so sports wrap, March Madness wraps up sports wrap, which like so. Yeah, the kids busy Thursday night and Saturday, Sunday. And the following week, the same thing. March Madness is so much fun. The upsets, the teams at Idaho, that's been there in 36 years. They're back in the dance. So, there's nothing like March Madness. And here in Las Vegas, it's more betting on March Madness than it is on the Super Bowl. Can you deal with this? I've just said this and thanks for your time. We're having been to Vegas. We had our big class audience here watching us. If you had been to Vegas, I recommend marching out in the Super Bowl. I didn't say that about the rodeo until it started out. And then I started, when you get here, people used to be worried about where am I going to go see it? What sports book? We have so many sports books now, and so many sports bars, and so many casino lobbies, and the private parties that we cover, from what Derek Stevens does downtown to all the way up to Mandalay Bay. But these are our best customers, Chris, and I think Vegas has had a really rough year. The last 12 months, the price gouging, people really upset about Vegas, $14 bottles of water in the room, the parking. We got to get it right. The March Madness customers of ours are Vegas, and we have to about. Yeah, and they love coming here. They come here for 4 days. Start on Thursday. They get their buddies together. They bounce from one bar to another bar. At night, they go to the clubs. They have the big steak dinners and see you sitting there at the table. So, you know what's great? I love it. Part of that weekend is when, if you ever happen to go to the airport on a Monday or Sunday on business and you see all the guys coming through, just mentally and physically trained, and they have to land in their city, get their car, go back to their wives and partners, and say, "Oh, it's a good time." I mean, Vegas takes a lot out of you. It is. So I know you're going to be here for post-games. We got live coverage tonight. Yeah, so we'll have the Raiders obviously introducing those free agents. We'll have that. We'll have the basketball game here with UNLV and Utah State. Then we also have NASCAR coverage. Yes, tomorrow's the Hall of Parade. We got a NASCAR driver coming in today, so. NASCAR, the March Madness, the Vader stuff, all been doing that out like, and it's cool that I'm sitting with you right in front of a Garth Brooks guitar, speaking of the rodeo. You got a perfect spot here. You know the history of Steve Stalwart and getting him here, and then him that building court for him in this house. And Garth Brooks had tremendous. And let's wrap it up with you and your history in this building. How far does your history in this building go back? Not just for sports and concerts and big events with your wife and kids. Yeah, we used to take our little. I raised 2 daughters here in Las Vegas. Loved it. They were successful. They had a great time. Now they're off doing their own thing. But we came here for all sorts of events. I mean, the ice shows, the Disney shows. Any kind of event you could imagine was here at the Thomas Mack, because that was it. It was when I got to town. It was just the Thomas and Mack and the MGM Grand Garden Arena, where it was brand new. So it's they redid this thing, and now it's phenomenal. I cannot wait, JT. For the new stadium, the A's ballpark, with that thing state of the art, it's going to be phenomenal. So Vegas is just a great place, as you know. I'm not to tell you that. Love it here. I'll be watching on Sunday. I got a 4-hour Sirius XM show leading into that, so I know you'll be at your best with March Madness now. It's a lot of fun. Thanks, JT. Thanks, I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. The great Chris Matthews. Thanks, Chris. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
The great Chris Matthews. That was a really good 17 minutes. With one of the most dialed in and connected guys that we have in town.
He is just fantastic overall. And again, another guy was really disappointed with the way that Max Crosby was treated and what happened to Max Crosby. Look, for what I do for a living, which is a content provider, all I do is I watch sports on TV and talk about it. That's it. It's not very difficult, but I like to do it at a high level if I can. This week was a free week that we were just given. We were given a week. Remember, there's 52 weeks a year, no matter how much vacation you take or not. So you start backing out the days you're not on the radio. And then you look for content, right? You want to have things to talk about. We totally are in a situation where we got a free week of content out of this Max Crosby debacle. And the Raiders didn't screw it up. The Raiders accommodated Max Crosby with a trade. Max and his agent wanted out, but they didn't want out violently. They didn't want to make a big show of it. I can state to you directly from talking to Max Crosby wanted this thing to be smooth because he loves the fans. That's not fake, okay? I've said this again. He's not Devontae. Don't ever compare Devontae to Max when it comes to dealing with Raider fans and what he says and what's sincere or not. Max Crosby is super sincere. He loves the Raiders. But now he's at a point in his career where he clearly has to figure out if this is where he wants to be the rest of his life. As of today, I think that's the case. But we don't know what tomorrow brings. We know Levi Edwards joins us live after a pretty big day. And I'm going to say goodbye to the bricklayers here because we're doing Levi Edwards over the phone. So anybody listening on Raider Nation Radio, catch Levi Edwards. Levi, busy day today, and you've been there for a number of years now. What was different about this media session today with the free agents?